Welcome to another episode of Satisfying Static. We are going to do another random word again today. I don't know what it has in cards for us. That's because it's random, Kristine. Jesus.
I was thinking that as you started that sentence.
The first word is attract.
Ooh. Okay. I guess this is one that can carry the show. Let's see.
It'll be fine.
The first thing I thought of was obviously like attraction, like being attracted to other people. I do have a bike ride I'm going on later. But also more spiritually, like manifestation, like attracting like what you want in your life and the types of people you want in your life. But that's also probably because I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
Wow. Those are both valid things. My first thought actually didn't go to either of those things. It went to
Amazing.
because the pollen is so bad in the Boston area right now. I immediately thought of like, oh, pollen attracts bees. I bet we're gonna have more bees. Like I don't know. I don't know why attract took me there. And then shortly after that thought was magnets and polar opposites and opposites attracting and polarity and like that kind of stuff.
I feel like that also can lead into a conversation about like physical attraction.
Physical attraction's a weird animal. It's a weird animal.
A weird animal, but I feel like I'm still in this space where I'm just like magnetically attracting people to me that are maybe not like the best.
Yeah. You know? No, you really do have that pull about you.
I really do.
Yeah, you have that I feed toxic personalities trait.
Absolutely.
And so the super toxic people are like immediately interested. And they're like, oh, she'll be understanding of all my inherent flaws and not force me to change and just kind of coddle me. That's the vibe you give off.
Right. Yeah. Like freaking just moths to a flame or whatever. Like it just keeps happening. And I was like, man, I've been working so hard, right? Like I've been working so hard on myself to try and not be the toxic perfect match for whatever that is. I love that you're still watching Olivia paint as we're doing this podcast.
I keep looking over at her to make sure she's doing okay. I just get nervous about her. That's all. I know you're fine. I know you're fine, sweetie. I get nervous. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I'm helicopter partnering. I'm sorry.
So for context, for anyone who is not in the room, we're trying to do a podcast. In the background, Olivia is painting a mail thing. I don't know what you said, but
it's a mail. Yeah, it's like a key and mail holder. Yes.
There we go. Literally right in front of Kristine, and as I'm like trying to talk to Kristine, I just see her like supervising.
So Olivia often gets hurt doing things.
Rude.
Not rude, sweetie. You're just a little. Sometimes bad things happen, and I get real nervous, and so I have to watch her because something happens. I have to give the appropriate response of, "Are you okay?" Like I have to check in on her to make sure that she's okay.
Wait, like how? Do you have an example? Like how badly does she hurt herself?
It's not usually bad. She's burned herself, not regularly, but often while making dinner. That's the big one. She'll like burn herself and she'll go, and if I don't go like, oh, are you okay or something, she'll just kind of stare at me, and I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, are you okay? So I've gotten into this habit now, where like Olivia will make a sound and I will make sure to ask if she's okay, because like her love language is like, that's a part. That's like that's adjacent to her love language. Like, stop looking at me like that. What? We've talked about this.
Keep talking.
We've talked about
like this podcast is going to turn into a fight between Kristine and Olivia.
She doesn't care that I'm asking if she's okay. She cares that I'm like paying enough attention to know that something might be wrong. So like verbally acknowledging that I heard that something happened and that I'm just kind of like, hi, I am listening, is important to her. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? You're looking at me like...
I wasn't even looking.
Well, yeah, but your eyebrows are doing a like high thing while you're looking at the mail thing and painting that, so... That's accurate. Okay, great. We can move on. So,
I don't know that that's accurate.
Oh, you don't know that that's accurate. That's not accurate, sweetie? I don't know. Because we definitely talked about this, because you, at one point, like, pinched yourself or something, and you're like, oh, and I like didn't ask if you were okay, and you like came and sat down next to me, and you're like, I would really appreciate if you asked if I was okay or like checked on me when I got hurt.
I mean, yeah, I do want that, but I don't. I don't know. The way you phrased it sounded so needy.
It's not needy.
You did phrase it in a way like she was training you to make sure that you're like constantly listening.
No, she's not training me.
You did phrase it, that's kind of how it came out to me, but like also understanding how your brain works, like I understand you're sort of overcorrecting here.
Correct. Yep. That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So you're like, I fucked up this one time, and now I don't want it to happen again. So I'm just going to make sure I'm watching every instance of this happening.
That is exactly correct. So what she just said is that like my brain is overcorrecting where I fucked up this one time and didn't hear when it happened, and so now I like hyper focus to make sure that I hear it every time. Which is correct. Okay. Yeah. She reluctantly shook her head yes at that. Okay, great.
Well, I mean, at least that would be my theory, because like I feel like this just happened to me where like so I got checked for interrupting with someone that like I don't talk to on a regular basis. Sure. So like it's a lot harder, obviously, it's for me to know like when they break in their conversations. And so she checked me for like interrupting her and like let me know that it was like extremely frustrating to her that day. I could not tell you one single time that I interrupted her at all. And I was medicated that morning. You know what I mean? So it was like one of those things where I was like, shit, like I definitely didn't mean to be doing this. And now I don't know how to correct it because I can't tell you when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to figure that out, I'm just going to not speak to her unless I absolutely have to.
No, so I am that person. Like I am that person. So me and Olivia had a conversation just yesterday about like, when certain instances come up, like I make a jokey response instead of not responding at all. And she was like, your jokey responses are kind of hurtful in certain contexts. And I'm like, that's fair. But I don't know how to respond verbally without that. So I just won't respond. And she's like, well, I'm not asking you to just like not respond. I'm like, no, I understand that you're not asking me to do that, but that's what my brain is like, going to do. Like it's just going to not do the thing anymore.
Right.
Because the idea of me doing something wrong again makes my skin crawl.
Right. And like, for me, like I can 100% agree with you and feel that, but like for me it's because like and I was like trying to explain this to someone, like because I explained to them what happened the other day, and they were like, well, maybe a quick conversation would help. And I was like, realistically, like people can't help me to let me know when I'm interrupting them because they're going to assume that I should know. Right. And in a lot of these cases it's like people are going to assume that like it's common sense and that I should know when this is happening. And so I'm going to be capable of stopping it on my own. And that's just not the case. Like I need help. Like I need you to tell me when I'm interrupting you. I'm not going to get mad, but like I need you to say it because I'm not going to catch it every time. Or like in those instances of like when you don't appreciate me making a joke, like, okay, we need to get to a place where I understand like you're not trying to hurt my feelings and you are just sort of teaching me when those moments are.
Yep.
And like that sucks. I hate that. It's so shitty to kind of live with, but like that's where, and like then there was, sorry, I'm on a tirade, but like there was this TikTok this morning where somebody was like fucking being ableist and being like, I'm so sick of neurodivergence using like I don't know social cues as an excuse. And that I was like, fuck you. Like honestly, fuck you. Like I've spent 30 years of my life trying to figure out social cues, and the reality is everybody is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So even if I learn them sort of, everybody is doing social cues slightly different, and like I have to learn it from each individual person.
I mean, a lot of that is like that's the same thing with me in like cleaning. People are like, it's common sense. You should like pick that up and clean under it. And I'm like, okay, but like it is to you. It isn't to me. Like.
Right.
And that's extremely frustrating to people, but I'm like, what's normal for you is not normal for me, and that's not, there is no such thing as a normal thing, right? Like there's not a normal baseline. There just isn't.
Right. And like everybody is so different, and like the TikTok I found was actually somebody I followed with stitched it to like complain about this person. Sure. And she made a really amazing point about how like social cues also vary depending on the culture that you grew up in.
Yeah.
So like if you're an immigrant, or if you're, grew up in an immigrant family, or you grew up in a different country, like your behaviors are going to be very different than your typical American, which like I'm painfully aware of, but like most people aren't.
But like, and from household to household, right? So like silence in my
Yeah,
household meant that I was in trouble. It meant that like
totally.
my mother was uber disappointed. It was going to be a whole conversation. Like I was in trouble. So silence is painful for me. I have to fill
Hmm.
the silence. And it's why when I talk to people and they just stop talking, like I can't do it. I'm like, you need to say
Hmm.
something because the longer you're silent, the more my brain is going to carry on its own. And I'm
Right.
going to step into something that's worse than what already got us to this point. Like I just am. And I can't do silence.
You're right.
It's so true. Like me and Voldemort, when we would fight, her thing was to shut all the way down and stare out the window. And I'm like,
Yeah.
your silence is making me think and say things that don't even make any sense because now my
Right.
brain is just rapid firing off whatever it can so that it doesn't have to sit in silence. So you need to say something or do something to bring this down. Like,
Hmm.
please.
I know. Yeah, I hear you. And it's tough. Like I can't tell you how many times I asked um we need a nickname that's better than Utah, but I can't tell you how many times I've asked um for help in understanding the moments where she felt like I was speaking disrespectfully or like down to her, because I can't tell you one single time that I like was sitting there being like, oh, this bitch, she just doesn't know. Like, no, I 100% of the time she was saying things and I had information about the thing, so I let out the facts I knew about the thing.
Yeah.
And that to her came off really disrespectful, I think. But I honestly can't tell you because she would never take the second to just be like, okay, here, this moment, I don't appreciate this. And she would just like wait and get progressively more mad until it was like very obvious that she was pissed at me. And then I would be doing mental gymnastics for the last like 30 minutes to an hour to figure out like where I fucked up.
Some people say that like we come off know-it-all when we do that, but that's our way of engaging in conversation.
I
Is like
know.
regurgitating everything we know about it and like asking questions about it because
Excuse
that's
me.
just how we communicate. But like people are like, "Why you come off like you know it all?" And I'm like, "Oh no! What I just told you, that's all I know. That was just
Right,
my way of
right.
telling you like I know a little bit, so like we can converse about it. But I'm
Yeah.
not an expert, so I would love to know what you know because it's more than what I know."
Right. Same. And like I just still, after however many years, have a really difficult time, especially if I'm just having hard days, which happen, in like remembering that I need to like cushion that with like phrases that make it
Right. So now
less.
I perpetually make myself seem significantly dumber. So like
I did that forever though, and I'm sick
no,
of
all the
doing
time.
it.
So like if I know a little bit about something, I'll be like, yeah, so I don't know much about this thing. I know X, Y, and Z. I just pump out like half of the facts that I know. And then I ask a question, and sometimes I ask a question that I know the answer to, like a
Yeah.
softball question. And then that way
Yeah.
I can be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think I had heard of that. What about this thing? And then I have to falsely camouflage
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
little factual knowledge I have about this topic
Yeah.
because otherwise I come off as this know-it-all douchebag,
Yeah.
which is totally unintentional.
Right. No, same. I do the same thing. I do the same thing all the time. And like I play that game too. I very often, especially like if I feel like someone's starting to get annoyed or feel like I'm being know-it-all-y, will go ahead and feed them questions to tell they will explain things to me that I'm more familiar with than
Yeah,
they are. You
I
know what I mean?
100% let people not mansplain, but like
Yeah,
expert
yeah.
explain like topics of medicine to me that I know are
Yeah.
100% incorrect, or I know, or I like I could have explained it better, or like whatever. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah. No, that makes 100. Like I do it in my doctor's offices a lot. They'll even if they know I'm a PA, they'll try and explain things to me, and I'm like, it's not what that
Yeah.
is. But yeah, you keep telling me that. Like yeah.
Right.
Because if I say anything else, I'm a douchebag, and I'm not gonna do that.
Right. Sometimes it's just not worth it.
No,
And like
no.
I so I very carefully pick those battles, but like again, this is a very conscious active thing that we have to do every single time.
Yep.
So if I'm ever on default mode because I'm stressed, tired, doing a lot of things or whatever life, if I'm ever on default mode, I'm not in a position to like craft that
Yeah,
response or craft those
to phrase
questions.
those things. Yeah, no, same.
Right. So it's just like unrealistic to expect of myself that I'm going to be able to keep up. And so like I'm getting tired of it. And honestly, like I'm kind of to the point where I feel like if I communicate clearly, like if I let you know, like this example with this woman, like, listen, I'm so sorry. Like, I understand that's frustrating. That was absolutely not my intention. My brain has a really, really, really difficult time with this. So it's going to take me some time to figure out like when I'm interrupting you. If you could help me understand, blah, blah, blah. Like, at that point, if she decides to refuse, that's not really on me.
Right.
You brought a problem to me. I came up with what I need for us to come to a solution. Especially if we're going to continue like working together or whatever, having conversations, and you're just flat out saying no, well, then there's nothing I can do for you. You're going to
Right.
continue to be annoyed with me.
Right. Well, and that's
Like,
like, that's the other thing is I try, and the last couple of years especially, I've been very, very cognizant of that. And then days that I don't have the energy to craft those things, I'm like, I don't feel like peopling today. I'm just not gonna people today. I don't really want to
yeah,
be around people.
same.
And then I end up coming off like an asshole. And they're like, Kristine's not really nice. And I'm like, well,
Same. That same thing happens to me. Like, okay, I'm supposed to go on this bike ride later, but I'm very much not in the mood. Like, I already got checked. It's already been like a hard few
oh, wait,
days.
did
Like,
this interruption check happen today?
it happened yesterday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like I had all at the tail end of what were already like a few difficult days of just like eating,
Yeah.
showering, staying on top of shit,
Home stuff, yeah.
So it just like sent me over the edge. And so now I'm like, man, I really don't want to people because I'm already extra sensitive.
Yep.
And like, it's going to be a bunch of people I don't know hanging out with more strangers. And so, like, realistically, I'm just going to be super quiet. And that's why everyone thinks I'm super quiet, even though
You're not
you know
quiet.
me.
Yeah, you're not quiet at all.
But it's just like I would rather not say anything and not offend people than like go in there being excited and overly chatty and interrupting everyone, have everyone think I'm just like a fucking asshole.
Right. And that's the tough balance. And like Olivia's friends, they're very intelligent people. Like they're smart people. And I
Mm-hmm.
often am just like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of like let their information wash over me and not interject the 7 things I might know about that topic right this second.
Right.
Because my brain is like, hey, you know something about that. You have to we're gonna throw that to the front of your brain. Dump it all out right now.
I know. I hate that freaking like garage door button that gets
Yeah.
pressed when like people are like, I have information about a topic, and my brain's like, wait, hold on. I have some. Wait.
That's a great analogy. It's like the sports closet where like you open it and all the sports equipment just comes flying out and like hits you in the
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
Like the
exactly.
the basketball fun fact of the Grand Canyon goes bouncing by and you're like, wait, yeah, no, I did know something about the Grand Canyon. That's right.
Right. I forgot all these were in here. Did you know we have skis?
Oh my god. And then you find it and you decide to go skiing for the first time in like 9 years.
Right. That's just how our brains work.
It's like we were at a sports store the other day and we saw like a disc golf and I was like, oh, I really love disc golfing. I was actually kind of into disc golfing for a little while. God, that was so long ago. Like had forgotten that I wanted to like really get into disc golfing. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So many started and unfinished hobbies. Like that's the main reason I had an entire room just full of craft supplies.
Yeah.
So I would pick up like it seemed like it made sense. It's adjacent to what I'm already doing. It's craft. But do I need like 700 balls of yarn and all this fabric and all of these beads? No, I don't.
No, and the object permanence is what gets me the worst. Like I keep buying
Mm-hmm.
paintbrushes thinking I don't have enough paintbrushes and really I have all the paintbrushes. All the paintbrushes you could ever want.
I know, same. I was like I've been talking with my therapist about like how to make things easier, and we were talking about like organizing food and stuff, and I was like I really just need everything in my house to look like a storefront. Like I need my pantry to be like a grocery store shelf.
Yep.
I need like the
Yep.
bathroom to be set up like a makeup count. Like I need everything to look like a storefront. And she was like, that's a good idea. Why don't you do that? And I was like, fuck, okay, I guess I'm reorganizing my pantry now to look like
No, I'm
like
the same way. I want to take off all of the cabinet doors.
Yeah,
because
that would help.
I do not know that we have food And my brain does not want to open the cabinet to explore that.
Yeah.
I forget that there is food stored in the freezer or the fridge because it is behind a door. Like my
Right.
brain has
Yeah.
just decided you don't have food out on the counter, you have nothing to eat, you should order something. Like that's just what it does. I don't know why. That's where it goes. Leftovers, fucking forget it. If Olivia didn't remind me
Forget
in the
it.
morning that I had leftovers to take to work, I just fucking wouldn't.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're in a container. How am I ever supposed to remember there's food in there?
They're in a container, in a sealed, bigger container that is the fridge.
Right.
Why would I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that? Like I just don't.
I
I just don't.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Or I often do the thing where like there's only one container for food in my kitchen, even though that's false. Like I'll open the pantry and be like, this is the only food I have. The fridge doesn't exist.
Yep.
Or I'll open the fridge and be like, there is absolutely nothing in the pantry. Pantry doesn't exist. It's only these options that are on the door of the fridge, apparently.
No, 100%.
Like,
I will look in the fridge and then be like, okay, that's it. I didn't check the freezer. I didn't check the count. Like not like my brain's like you have one spot for food, and when that
right.
spot is done, you have nothing else. Good luck.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then like magically I'll be cleaning or something or open the pantry and I'm like, oh my God, I have like soups and chili and mashed potatoes in here.
That happened to me the other day. We opened the cabinets and I was like, oh wait, we got Cheez-Its again. Yeah, I'll eat those. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that's a fun part of ADHD. Like when I was talking about trying to find stuff to wear to Pride events, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just shop my closet because it's been a while since I've looked through it. And I promise you there are 80% things I didn't know I had.
yeah, I went through ours the other day. I went through ours and we donated some stuff. We took some stuff to Plato's closet, and then I made a pile of another shirt blanket I'm gonna make because it's all shirts I don't wear.
Mm.
But yeah, it was a lot of that I was like, oh, I forgot I had this. Why don't I wear this like ever? I wear the same 6 shirts.
Yeah, same. It's just that the like landscape effect. Like eventually I open the closet and all of it looks the same and none of it stands out.
Yeah, that happens really easily to me too.
Yeah. My apartment is currently a mess because I have been trying to keep projects out to remember them and they've all become landscape, so they all need to go away.
Yeah, same. Same. That's the rocket ship was in the middle of the floor. I just finally put it back together in the corner because I haven't gotten around to finishing that thing that I have to do. I'm just never gonna finish it. It's just never gonna get finished. It's just gonna exist in the corner of our house forever, unfinished white blob of doom.
Don't say never. At least you have Liv. Like built-in accountability helps a ton because if she starts nagging you about it, you'd probably be likely to even like pick it up again.
It's worse. The days that she's like, oh, maybe you could work on the rocket ship. I'm like, oh, do everything you can not to work on the rocket ship because she suggested it. Why would you do that?
Someone on TikTok yesterday was like, there's nothing less motivating than having enough time. And I was like, facts.
No, seriously. Facts. Take away. Yeah. Tell me I have 2 hours to get something done. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'd rather have 2 hours than 6 days. I know. I've been off for 5 days in a row. And do you know how much work I've done on the rocket ship? Zero. Not an ounce. Not even a thought of an ounce. Not even... Not just none. I've done none. I did get my first stripe in jiu-jitsu though. That was exciting.
That's cool. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
So obviously the rocket ship has stopped giving you dopamine.
It has, and it's because the part that's left to do is a step backwards, and it's very frustrating, and it's very annoying, and it's stinky, and it's because I accidentally oversanded in a weird way and put like chips in the body itself. So I have to re-bondo that, re-smooth it out, re-sand it, and then basically keep repeating that process until it's back to where it's supposed to be, and then I can finally move on to paint. No,
that sounds like too much.
Well, and the last time I used Bondo, the house was stinky. Olivia hated it, and now I'm scared that I'm gonna make the house stinky again and make Olivia upset and lightheaded again.
How big is your back porch? Can you Bondo on the back porch?
Open the windows.
I can't open the windows, sweetie. We have a cat who loves the outside.
You can open a few of them and monitor her.
Okay. Let me do that while I'm mixing Bondo.
Yes.
How big is your porch? Can you do it on the porch?
The porch I can do it on. The tricky part is the weather has to cooperate.
Right.
And I'm concerned that I won't have a nice enough day to go out there, do it, and then have enough energy or brain space to bring it all back inside.
Yeah, that was gonna be my second thing. Is like you'll probably end up leaving it on the porch, and I don't think
And
it
then
can
it'll
survive.
get rained on, and then I'll have to do even more work than I've already done. And which honestly, I could set up that paint tent out there, do it in the paint
True.
tent out there, but then I would have even more shit to clean up because the paint tent's a pain in the ass to clean up, and all of that sounds miserable. Hence why the rocket ship is put
So
in the corner again.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I totally understand why the rocket ship has stopped giving you dopamine, and that is way too much work. I would have thrown it away by now.
Yeah. So, but I did discover that program that I use to draw things on my iPad,
Mm-hmm.
I can import coloring pictures to.
Oh,
So I've
cute.
been coloring on that, which is nice instant dopamine gratification, right? I'm like, oh, I colored that one section. It's great.
I love that for you.
The Lone Throne design is not doing well, which is big sad. Yeah.
Oh,
And actually, I raised $68 the first day it launched, and then immediately got a
okay.
bill for $143 for a flu swab that I had. So I'm net negative on that whole excursion.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess you'll just need to promote it some more, but damn.
Yeah, so there's that. Somebody asked me to do something for medical debt, and I did like some video game like logo health bar things that like for like my health being 75%, but my cash being like almost zero. And I was like,
That's funny.
yeah, it's cute or whatever. But after the disaster that was the Lone Throne, I'm like, do I care enough to really mess with this one?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a solid question.
It's like this,
I mean, you're not gonna hit it out of the park every time. That's cute.
right? And I thought about putting on top of it like Texas said, like American made or made in America.
That's funny. That might do pretty
But then I
good.
also did like just the logos being colored representative that way.
I feel like that one's harder
That
to
one's harder to
see.
understand, I think.
Yeah.
So I think the
For
for
I guess this will be a surprise for anyone listening and that can't see
yeah,
what
they
you're
have no
showing
idea.
right
Yeah, they have
now.
no idea. It'll probably never get launched. I don't know.
Mystery.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like I keep hoping to hit some big ticket thing to make me feel not so bad about taking days off work and working less and still having everything paid for, and it's just not going to happen that way, and I just need to stop thinking that way.
Yeah, your debts will get paid when they get paid. But you can't like work yourself to death trying to get them done faster.
Yeah, that's why I wish I could just win something.
That would be nice, right? Yeah, I'm still holding out for a sugar mama. Like, I feel like, especially in LA, like my chances are much higher.
My
So,
therapist is like, my worst nightmare for you is you winning the lottery, because you would win the lottery, you'd pay everything off, and then you would go, oh wait, why do I still feel like I need more? And you'll just
yeah.
keep working.
Yeah, the whole work-life balance thing is hard. I also am constantly getting yelled at by my therapist for that. But I don't know how to exist otherwise. If I don't put pressure on myself and I'm not working like 3 jobs all the time, then like, what am I going to do all day?
Right.
You know, like the days where it is slow and I don't have a whole lot going on, I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'll move from the bed to the couch
Right.
for the next 6 hours.
Right. And then I end up building puzzles and then not matting the puzzles and putting them up like I'm supposed to. So then I just have a collection of done glued puzzles in a corner of a room that I've done nothing with. Oddly specific, I know. But my phone is actively on a box of a puzzle that I was going to start. And our spare room actively has a bunch of glued puzzles that I haven't gotten into archival sheets yet. So like,
Amazing. Yeah, the fun parts of ADHD. So, this has been a fun ADHD chat.
yeah, it started with attract, but we just attracted ourselves to talking about ADHD, which is fine, I guess.
It's a struggle, okay? Like it's just something that is hard, and like it's hard. It's even harder when you don't have people to talk about it with that get it. And like one of my biggest struggles with it right now is like the fact that I'm single, and it feels like dating someone with ADHD is like a fucking pain and a half. But Liv's doing it.
Liv is doing it. Does Liv love doing it? I don't know. Dating someone with ADHD, sweetie? How do you love that? She's like, eh.
I could leave it, but I do love you.
Yeah, no, she loves me. She loves me.
So yeah, so it kind of leads into attract, I guess, is like I'm trying to be careful about the types of people I attract, but then
It's got to
also
be somebody patient. Got to be somebody so patient. I thanked Olivia for her patience like 6 times yesterday. She had to deal with my patience of trying to fit a grill and a storage container into the back of my car, and how frustrating that was, and my patience, or the patience of me wanting to do things in a certain order and everything else. And she had to be very patient yesterday.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of patience. So you give me your tips on how you find people with patience that aren't somehow fuckboys, because that is...
Find a teacher.
That's a
I
solid
was going to
tip.
say, that was a long pause for you to circle back and go, yeah, actually, that's a good idea.
That's a solid
Genuinely,
tip.
she deals
like,
with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Of course she can handle an ADHD 28-year-old. Makes total sense.
It does, though. All right, so for any teachers listening in the LA County area, I am single.
I bet you can find a hot teacher. I bet there's a hot teacher in the future.
I was angling for the lifeguards out here.
You were looking for lifeguards?
I don't know.
You think lifeguards are patient with people? Because lifeguards strike me as easily annoyed.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Right. So like this conversation today has enlightened me to thinking like maybe lifeguard would be the wrong choice here. So
a lifeguard, a librarian, or a retail store manager. All people who have to be insanely patient, both with their employees and their clientele. Like,
so anyone who has to deal with hyper children all day long is probably safe.
I would stay far away from people in medicine because they are far too burned out to deal with anything else right now. So they would just hate it.
Fair, 100%.
Teachers are also burnt out, but I feel like patience is a special kind of virtue that they just inherently have.
I love that.
The good ones, anyway.
The good ones, anyway.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
And on
that note, let's find Maggie a hot teacher.
Yeah, preferably not in a different state, but I do long distance apparently.
Preferably not in a different state, but I tell you what, if they're willing to actually make the commute, we'll take them. We'll take them.
Now I just sound desperate. Anyway, let me go change and go on this lesbian bike
You should
ride.
go do that. Oh, and a side note, a friend of mine and Olivia's / an avid listener was like, I also thought that Utah was in the Midwest because it's the midway through the West. And I was like, shut up. You did not think that. And she was like, no, I really did.
Oh my God. That is not a midpoint. Okay.
I know.
All right.
I know.
So we're not...
The funniest, I'm like, you did not just admit that. And she's like, no, I really did. I was like, thank you for validating that one person who knew was about this, who we nicknamed Viper, short for pit vipers. Because they own a pair, and then you have Viper and Voldemort, and it works. Oh, they own 2 pairs. And it works great. You have Viper and Voldemort. Yeah. That sounds like an awesome band. Viper and Voldemort?
We'll go with that, but you have to remind me because I'm going to forget by the next time. That's
fine. I'm really excited for that. I'm just going to be like, yeah, well, I wonder, like, was Viper ever okay with that? And you're going to be like, who the fuck?
I know. I'm like, what? Oh, wait.
The person from that biker gang? Okay. On that note, go get ready for your bike ride. Go have fun. Yay! Save lots of little bike lives. I don't know. What?
That's your job is saving lives. I just like mostly make people laugh or mad. One of the two. There's no middle ground.
That'll be fine. Okay. All right. Bye.